Hello, welcome to the worker trainer training portion for electronic visit verification, EVV, using the Authenticator mobile application. Electronic visit verification is a tracking system that requires electronic verification of when a person receives Medicaid funded personal care or home health services. EVV systems verify the type of service performed, the person receiving the service, the date, location, person providing the services, and the time the service begins and ends. Section 12006A of the 21st Century Cures Act mandates that states implement EVV for all Medicaid personal care services and home health services that require an in-home visit by a provider. The Alabama Department of Mental Health administers the Intellectual Disabilities Waiver and the Living at Home Waiver as 1915C waivers. The department implemented EVV for traditional personal care and other in-home services in 2017. We are now working to bring the self-directed services into compliance. The department must be in full compliance by January 1st, 2021. The department is working to ensure that compliance is met by December 2020. Your participation in this training helps meet that goal. Let's get started. You will first locate the Authenticator 2.0 app in your App Store and install the app on your personal cellular device. Once the download is complete, you will open the app and you will see Setup Code. The correct setup code is Alabama PRD. That is ALABAMA That's Peter Roger David. Once this is entered, you select Submit. The next screen will allow you to enter your worker ID and password for sign-in. At this time, you do not have this information, but beneath the sign-in, you will see Settings. Please select Settings. You will select Next, see Device Identifier. A device ID will appear. This device is extremely important. Write this number down, take a screenshot, or copy it as you can. This ID will help connect your use of the app to the person you are providing services. You will submit this app, the device ID, to the fiscal management provider. One example is Allied Community Services. You will also submit the mobile phone number of the device where the Authenticator app is installed, your email address, the office number you have for the provider. If the worker also works with another person in the ADMH administered waivers, the worker will also need to provide the last 4 digits of their Social Security number to be sure the work they do is attached to the correct person in the correct waiver. In actuality, everyone will need to submit the last 4 digits of their Social Security number. Receiving the worker ID may take a day or 2. This will delay your ability to use the app until you receive the worker ID. This is why it is very important to obtain this information as soon as possible and send it on to your fiscal management provider promptly. Currently, we are working to add a link to the ADMH website where this information can be uploaded. Please check back to the website for updates. A temporary password will be provided to you once your setup has been updated in the Authenticator app. Again, this may take a few days. Patience will be required. After the setup is complete, you will log into the app using your worker ID and temporary password. You will then be notified that you must change your password to continue. You will enter the current password and enter a new password according to the password requirements. Confirm your new password and select Submit. Once this is complete, you will log in again with your new password. It is actually recommended that you log in before you arrive at the work site. This is based on the possible lack of internet access at the location you are working. Again, you can sign in before you arrive on the app, or you can sign in when you get there. This is not a check-in. Once you've signed in, then you will be provided the option for a check-in. The check-in should be done when you are at the client location. Select Client screen will display with a list of clients found near the location of the mobile device. If the client that you are working with is on the list, tap the client's name. If the client's name is not listed, the screen will display error, no clients found. Tap OK, and then next tap Lookup. Tap Lookup Client to process check-in. The Lookup Client screen will display. The worker will input the client's ID or last name. Tap Lookup. Select the client. Select the arrow to the right of the word Services on the check-in page to select the service you will work. Select the service the client is authorized to receive and tap Done. If you select a service that is not authorized, it will delay your payment. This will create an error that will have to be corrected. The correction process is a paper process that may take some time. Please be sure to always select the service the client is authorized to receive. If you have questions about what service you are performing, please follow up with your employer. When the client card displays the service, you will select Check-in. Once checked in, the Check-in Success pop-up displays. This will have the GPS coordinates at the time of check-in and the check-in time. You will select Close to remove the app. Authenticator 2.0 mobile app is now ready for service to be delivered. The screen for checkout will display. It is not necessary to have a check-in attested or verified by the work employer. Only a checkout is to be attested. Attestation is the process of verifying that the services have been completed as they are presented by the date, the length of service for time in, time out, and the type of service provided. The employer is certifying that the services have been performed and received. No additional steps are required once you have checked in. So now you've done your shift and service is done. You're going to re-enter the worker ID and password on the Authenticator app. Again, a list of services will be visible that will show ready for checkout. You will tap the client service visit that has been completed and is pending a checkout. The checkout screen appears with the client information, service information, and check-in time displayed. The employer will have an opportunity to attest or verify that the services were performed if they are not available at the moment. The employer isn't available, so we will skip attestation. Once you've selected Skip Attestation, the successful checkout screen displays. Then you will tap Close and the Visit Details screen displays. It will show your time in and time out and the services you performed. You are now done with your day. Next, we'll go through checking out with employer attestation. So you've worked your shift, you've signed in the morning, and now we've come to the end and we are checking out. We're going to re-enter our worker ID and password on the Authenticator app. Again, our list of services ready for checkout will display. You will tap the client's service visit that has been completed and pending a checkout, just as we did before. The checkout screen will appear with the client information, service information, and check-in time displayed. At the bottom of the screen, you have the option to skip attestation or continue to client attestation. Since these services require attestation, select Continue to Employer Attestation. The mobile device screen will say Action Required. This checkout has been recorded but has not been completed. You will hand the phone to the employer to complete the attestation process, and once they are done, they will press Continue at the bottom to do the attestation. Once the employer signs using e-signature and selects Save, the employer will return the device to the worker. A pop-up should display stating the attestation has been recorded. Select Close, and the Checkout Success pop-up completes the process. The Checkout Success pop-up includes the GPS coordinates at the time of checkout and the checkout time. Select Close to display visit details for that client service visit. One thing to note, the app will record the GPS coordinate at check-in time and at checkout time. It does not track the device while the worker is performing their shift. This concludes the mobile app portion of the training guide. We will now move on to the interactive voice response or IVR training for worker check-in. Let's say the worker does not have a mobile device for downloading the app, or the worker has forgotten their device when they arrive at the client location. The worker can use the employer's mobile or landline phone to call the Authenticator IVR system. It is very important to remember that the IVR should only be used on the employer's phone, never on the worker phone. This is to prevent any suggestion of inappropriate worker location or a misuse of time and attendance records. You want this recorded on the employer phone, not the worker phone. The number to call for the IVR system is 1-800-422-3886. The worker will follow the prompts to complete a check-in or a checkout process. You must have the worker ID and the client ID available before calling the IVR. You dial the number, you will hear, "Welcome to Authenticator Alabama. If you are a worker, press 1. If you are an employer, press 2. As you are the worker, you will press 1. You will be prompted to enter your worker ID followed by the pound sign. Once your number is entered, you will be offered the opportunity to check in or check out. To check in, we'll press 1. Please enter your client ID followed by the pound sign. If the service is, let's say it's personal care today, press 1. If the service is not listed, press 8. So we select 1 because we know we're doing personal care. If you are, bear with me, if you are Wilma Worker and you work for Emma Employer and you are providing self-directed personal care for Camille client, press 1. If this is not correct, press 2. The information should be correct and you will press 1. The system will tell you that your check-in was successful at 11:04 a.m. To return to the main menu, press 1. To end this call, press 2. Pressing 1 will take you back and you can select a check-in or check-out process once again. To end the call, you will press 2. When you press 2, you will receive, "Thank you for calling Authenticator Alabama. Goodbye." So now you've come to the end of your day and you still don't have your phone. So you will again use the IVR system for a checkout. Again, you will be prompted, "Welcome to Authenticare Alabama. If you are a worker, press 1. If you are an employer, press 2. Pressing 1, please enter your worker ID followed by the pound sign. To check in, press 1. To check out, press 2. We are now checking out, so we press 2. You will enter your client ID followed by the pound sign. If you are worker, Wilma Worker, and you work for Emma Employer, and you are providing self-directed personal care for Camille client, press 1. Press 2 if this is not correct. You will be prompted that the service requires employer attestation to verify the accuracy of services provided. If the employer is available, press 1. If the employer is not available, press 2. In this example, we'll say that the employer is not available. You press 2 and you will be prompted, "Please note, an attestation is required for this service. The provider agency will have to document the reason why this attestation was not received during the call." To continue, press 1. If the employer is now available, press 2. Our employer is still not available, so we will press 1. Your checkout has been successful. To return to the main menu, press 1. To end this call, press 2. If the employer is not available, this is okay. This just means the employer will be given an opportunity at a later time to verify that the services were performed. We'll go through another example. The worker has done their shift for the day. They're calling in to check out. In this example, the employer is available. The service requires attestation to verify the accuracy of services provided. If the employer is available, press 1. You will be prompted to hand the phone to the employer and ask them to press 1 when ready. This phrase will repeat 3 times to give you an opportunity to hand the phone to locate if the employer is not handy, to locate the employer and hand them the phone. The employer will go through their process of entering their ID and continuing through attestation. Once they have completed attestation, they will be prompted, "Thank you, your voice has been successfully recorded." And again, you will hear, if you are Wilma Worker and you agree that if you are Emma Employer and you agree that Wilma Worker has provided self-directed personal care to Camille Client from 11:04 a.m. to 10:08 p.m., press 1. If you do not agree, press 2. Pressing 1 will attest to the service and the call will end. This concludes the IVR portion of the worker training. If you have questions, please refer first to the Worker Quick Reference Guide link on the ADMH website. If this does not answer your questions, please follow up with AuthenticareCare client support at 1-800-441-4667 or at authenticator.support@firstdata.com. That's authenticator.support@firstdata.com. Thank you for your participation.